This is section 212. We're going to take a look at equations of a line. And so we're going to take a look at the 3 different equations of a line. So a line goes through the points 2, 5, and 3, 2. Let's write the equation of the line in all 3 forms. Now, to be able to create a line, we need 2 pieces of information. We need a slope, and we need a point. Once we have those 2 pieces of information, we can create our line. So the first thing I should do is I should find the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Simplify it, you get the slope -3. And so now I'm going to use something called the point-slope form. Now that's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I use my first point. Now that's why I said we need a point and a slope. Because once I have my slope, which is m, and my point, you plug it in for y1, for m, and for x1. And so we get this equation right here. Now that's it. Bam! We have an equation of a line. Now what if I want to then create the slope-intercept form? And that's going to be the y equals mx plus b, which is the one that you're very familiar with. Well, if you notice, y is by itself. So all I need to do is get y by itself, and voila! I have my slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute this -3. I'm going to add the 5 to both sides, and I get y equals -3x plus 11. Boom. Slope-intercept form. And my last is called the standard form. Now the standard form is going to be a little more peculiar. X and y are on the same side and it equals some number c. Now a, b, and c have to be integers. There cannot be any fractions. And my x has to be positive. That's the only thing about it. So all I need to do in this case is add 3x to both sides. And so I get 3x plus y equals 11. There is my standard form. So these are those equations of the line that we talked about. We need to memorize it. Now the golden one, point-slope form. We always start there. We always start with point-slope form, and it's in the name. You just need a point and a slope, and you can create a line. So let's look at another example here. So it says find the equation of the line in all 3 forms. And so here's my x1 and y1. Here is my x2 and y2. So to create a line, I need a point and I need a slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And let's simplify that. So 4 minus 7 equals -3. -2, that's positive, so that equals 1. So my slope is going to be -3. And so we can use this as our first point. It actually doesn't matter. You can use either one, and it's going to be correct. But let's create our point-slope form. So y minus y1, which is 7, equals my m times x minus x1. Now I can clean that up, and I can write it as this. So boom, there's my point slope. Now I can manipulate that to my slope intercept. So I can distribute that -3. Here, I'll box it. But distribute that -3. Add the 7. And there is my slope-intercept form. And now I can manipulate that to standard form. Add 3x to both sides. And right there is going to be my standard form. Are they all integers? Yes, there's no fractions. And is this positive? Yes, so we're good. Now, oftentimes it's useful to write an equation of a line using their slope and a point, but sometimes we may get like an undefined value. So if we get an undefined value, that means you have to remember that in the previous lesson we said we used that special case x equals a number. Now fortunately, what's nice is if your slope is 0, well, we can still plug in 0 for m. It works out. But when you get undefined, there's no workaround. You just have to remember it's always going to be x equals then whatever the x value we're talking about. So since my x is -2, my line is going to be x equals -2. So let's look at a word problem here. It says a landscaping company charges $45 per cubic yard of mulch plus a delivery charge of $20. Find a linear function which computes the total cost in dollars to deliver X cubic yards. All right, so if we say the phrase 45 per yard, well, I don't know how many yards are, but we know that if it's 45 per yard, there is going to be a multiplying effect there because it's a 1 yard, 1 times 45. 2 yards, 2 times 45. 3 yards, 3 times 45, right? And so I can say that that's going to be my variable x. I don't know how many yards there are. And so constructing that, and then I have this plus $20 at the end, right? It's going to be a delivery fee charge. So I can write my function c of x equals 45x plus 20. Let's look at another one. It says a local pizza store offers medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $6 per pizza and a $1.50 delivery charge per order. On weekends, the store runs a game day special. If 6 or more medium 2-topping pizzas are ordered, they are $5.50 each with no delivery charge. Write a piecewise defined linear function which calculates the cost C in dollars of X medium 2-topping pizzas delivered during the weekend. So we have 2 scenarios here, right? And so because there's 2 scenarios, that's why we're going to be using this piecewise function. So the first scenario is it's $6 per pizza, and then there's a $1.50 delivery fee. Now, that's if we order between 1 and 5 pizzas. Then we have the scenario, well, what happens if you order 6 or more? Well, that's just a $5.50 with no delivery charge. So that's $5, 5.5x, where x is going to be greater than or equal to 6. So now we piece them together. We put them into a piecewise function. So c of x equals, and then we have our first scenario up here, and we have our second scenario down there. So what did we learn today? We learned about the 3 equations of a line and how to construct them. So how do I find the slope of the equation? Last lesson, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so what are the 3 different equations of the line? We have the point slope. We have the slope-intercept form. And then we also have the standard form. And we just need to remember a, b, and c cannot be fractions. They have to be integers, and a has to be positive. This does conclude our lesson. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments.